Hello and welcome. Let me just set the tone for this video. Today's video, I'm going to be talking about a heavy topic. So before we even get into this video, I'm going to ask you, go get you a glass of water, go pour you a drink, no matter how strong it needs to be, come back, have a seat, relax, and prepare for this channel message. While you're relaxing, go ahead and like this video, share this video, subscribe to this channel. Also, go to the Manifesto on Purpose Mindset show where I am the host, and you can hear more information there about mindset, manifestation, and just life in general. Now, let me get to this topic for today. Well, I'll say message. This is a channel message that came from my higher self, Jeannie. Don't look at me like that. Yes, Jeannie is my higher self and she gives me intuitive insight. It is no different from someone saying God said or Spirit said. Jeannie fills that space for me. This is a message that came in about a month ago. And how things work with Jeannie is if she gives me a message to give to the collective, and I just say, no, I'm not giving that message, Jeannie will bug me until I finally give the message. So after an entire month, I have decided, okay, Jeannie, let me get this message out of the way so you can leave me alone on that part. Anyway, I'm going to start with a story. You know how I love my stories. And this story is about a lady that I will call Nana. I want to protect let's say, I want to protect the ancestor here. I'll call her Nana. Nana came to me many years ago. I was given a task to care for Nana. Nana was 99 years old, small. I like to call her sweet and spicy because she was a sweet little lady, but she could be very spicy when she wanted to be. Nana was a nun. When Nana came to me for me to care for her, it was to help her recover. And me and Nana worked together for a while, and she just seemed like she was not into this whole recovery thing. Me and Nana got pretty close, and we built a bond where we could talk to each other about different stuff. Nana, remember now, she's 99 years old. When she began to trust me more, she started telling me every day that she was ready to go be with the Father. In other words, Nana was telling me she was ready for her transition. That was kind of like, it was difficult for me because first I had to take in this information and then I had to encourage her. I told her, Nana, don't say that. You can do this. You're getting much better. And she just continued to tell me, no, I'm ready to go. I lived most of my life as a nun. I've been happy. I'm just ready to go. And after a while, I stopped bugging Nana about that. And I noticed that she began to surely decline, which, because of her age, it was kind of expected, especially when I knew that she was telling me that she no longer wanted to be here. So when Nana began to decline and she got to the point where she was in the bed, she was just waiting for her transition, I was fortunate enough to be there to care for her too. And that's one of my things during that portion in my life. I was challenged to, and I don't want to say challenged because it wasn't a challenge for me, but my purpose during that time was to help people that were transitioning, help them transition to the other side. And this is another intuitive message that I got. And so whenever the people that I had gotten close to during that time, and I'm talking about the people that I was caring for, they would come back to me and that's when they would make their transition. So I was able to care for Nana in that stage where she was down in the bed. It was something she was not used to at all because she was used to being independent. So I did everything that I could to keep Nana comfortable. She was on what you call comfort care during that time, where the doctor said, okay, this is what's happening. We're just going to keep her comfortable. And that's what I did. Nana at this point had gotten so weak. She wasn't eating. She wasn't talking to me at all. So I knew the signs. I knew what was happening. And I was just focused on giving her my heart, giving her my best, making sure that before she left this state of being, that she was cared for. So Nana didn't have any children. She didn't have much family at all. She had some very, very distant relatives. And if I'm not mistaken, they weren't even relatives. They were kind of like, close friends of the family that may called her auntie or something like that. When Nana got to this stage, they came to visit. They would sit in with Nana all day. When I would go in to check in with Nana, I will always say, please step out. This was just my routine of how I did things. Can you please step out so that I can check to make sure Nana was okay, to know if she needed anything, or just to give her that space. And it was understood. So, like I said, Nana had not talked in weeks probably, because sometimes the transitioning process can be a long process, but Nana had not talked in over a week. And one day when I had the family go out so that I could do some things for Nana, it was at nighttime, and I went in there to check on Nana and care for her. Nana, who had not moved at all in days, reached up and grabbed me by my shirt. I was like, uh-oh, what's happening now? And Nana looked me straight in my eyes and she said, can you please tell them to stop praying for me? I'm ready to go home to my father. And then Nana just collapsed back on the bed. And I don't know what to think, because when Nana says something, when Nana speaks, you better do what Nana says. So I thought to myself, now I cannot go out here, because for me, she's first. I'm caring for her. So it's my job to make sure that she gets what she wants at this very vulnerable time in her life. So I had to figure out how to go tell these family members that loved her dearly that, Nana said those things to me. So I decided not to say that, but I did let them know she's tired. She needs some rest. Could you perhaps leave for the day and come back tomorrow to check on her? And they understood. Let me tell you, in about a couple of hours, Nana was gone. She made her transition within a couple of hours of when they left. And that right there, it showed me so much. The one thing that it showed me is the power of prayer. I mean, that's awesome. She's telling me, tell them to stop praying for me so that I can transition. And shortly after they stopped praying for her, she was able to transition and rest in peace. And it also let me know another very important thing. We should not go against the will of others because of how we feel, how we would think we would want to feel in that situation. We have to honor their request. And speaking of request, this message right here, as I said earlier, is no easy message. This message is a plea from the ancestors. The ancestors, this is kind of deep. I don't know why it's hitting me like this today. Like I said, this message came in over a month ago. But the ancestors said, stop worshiping them. Stop worshiping them. And there's a difference between honoring and worshiping. And this message comes very deep to me, and I'm feeling it very intensely right now because of the age that we are living in. We've transitioned ourselves into another age, into another state of being. We left the Piscean age, and we're now in the Aquarian age, where things were once organized and structured. When we needed physical tools to reach out to spirit, or to reach out to the creative force called God, or to exercise our power, we don't need those anymore, because in the Aquarian age, you have to rely on the mind. You have to rely on the mind. And I think we got the preview of the Aquarian age at the beginning of the pandemic. And here's why. Everyone, every person in humanity was affected by the pandemic in some way or another. Here are some of the things that the pandemic made us do. It made us, number one, think outside of the box. It took us away from everything that was going on around us and made us step within to ourselves, into ourselves. So at this point, we had to be creative. We had to think outside of the box to keep these connections going, to keep your employment going, to keep your education going. We had to step out of the box. It was a period where nobody knew what would happen. Nobody knew if there was going to be enough food to sustain them during the lockdown. You saw how they went crazy over the toilet paper and the water and everything else. But that was the preview of this age to show us that it's time to start thinking outside of the box, out of the ordinary. Things are going to happen that never happened before. That's why it is important for you to use your mind. Use your mind. And what it makes me think about, and what this message is really speaking in reference to, is the worshiping of the ancestor altars. That's basically what it is. And this is not just against you. This is no shade against anybody else, because I've had to switch some things up for myself after getting this message in, because I was still very much using my altar. But now I'm hearing the ancestors are saying that the worship is keeping them tethered to this plane of reality. And that's pretty deep, because you have to think about the fact that we say that and I'll just use the word venerating, the ancestors will empower them and give them power to move on to the next level. But what's happening is, or the question I should ask is, are we really helping them, or are we holding them back to this physical reality? This dimension of reality is one of the lower dimensions of reality. How can, and this is the message that came in, is saying that when we do these things, such as feeding them and making sure they have water and all of that stuff. And like I said, no shade to none of this, because until I got this message, I was doing the same thing. But when we use these things, we're holding them here in this reality, which is the lower dimension of reality. We're saying that we're giving them energy. But what I'm saying and what this message is saying is that they don't need our low-level energy. They need to be free to move on to their next job, to their next duty. So what do we do in this case? We honor our ancestors. We remember them. One way you can do it, and if you think about it, if you have ever read the Bible, and it talks about Jesus, his journey here on this earth, and during that journey, he was going around knocking down altars and statues, saying that, you should not be worshiping these things. In order to honor your ancestors, it's all about the memory. And the memory is in mind. That's how you truly honor them. Don't be leaving your plate out for a week so the bugs can get all into it and all that stuff. You honor them in your mind. If you wish for them to be here in your life, your memory will bring them back to you. You can speak to them and listen for an answer. But the whole point is, do not keep them tethered here because you are worshiping them. They have a job to do. It's just like Nana. The whole while she was telling me, I have to be about my Father's work. I have to be about my Father's work. But the prayers, they weren't meant to hurt her. The prayers were meant to help her. They thought that's what would help her. But in her perspective, what really helped her is when they learn how to release and let go. Once they released and let go, Nana was happy because she was able to be about her Father's work. If you truly love your ancestors, let them be about their work. Remember them. Honor them. Sit around and have happy memories about them. But don't hold them tethered to this reality because they can't work that way. They have a job just like we all have a job. And it's a continuous cycle. And that continuous cycle stops when you keep them tethered here. So this is no disrespect to anyone. This is just saying we're in a new age. It's time to do things differently. Everything that you can do in the physical sense, and I'm not just talking about this physical altar. I'm talking about your magic. I'm talking about your manifestation. I'm talking about all of that. What happens if the pandemic gets like it was before, or if something else occurs? I remember that time I couldn't find a candle in the store, and I felt so bad about my ancestors because I didn't have a candle to light. Do you think they were thinking about me lighting their candle? No, they were going on about their work. So what happens when these tools that you rely on, the physical tools, are no longer accessible to you? They're no longer available. The common denominator in all of these things, all of these tools, that altar, those candles, that water, even that food you put up there, is energy. And that energy is all created in mind. It's all created in mind. So whatever you can do in the physical, you need to learn. This is what is going to be key to your spiritual survival during this age, is in learning how to operate the mind, knowing the flow of the mind, how the mind works, because the mind is source. The mind is the beginning. So those are some things that I want you to think about. I hope I didn't ruffle any feathers, but if I did, hey, change is hard, but you have to do it. And somebody's got to be the messenger. I don't mind being the messenger, so I'm not saying don't love your ancestors. I'm not saying push them off to the side and forget about them. I'm saying honor them instead of worshiping them. I hope you got something out of this message today. If you're more interested in anything mindset, manifestation, make sure you're checking me out on the Manifest on Purpose Mindset Show. And you can find that show right here on YouTube, or you can find it on manifestonpurpose.net. The God in me loves the God in you.